Why am I panicking about end of the year reading?
Hi everyone, it's the Book Cougars, two middle-aged women on the hunt for a good read. I'm Emily.
And I'm Chris.
We're here to talk, well, we have some show and tell, and we're going to talk Friday reads.
Friday reads. Happy Friday, everyone.
Chris is back. She had the flu.
Oh, I did. It was awful.
Yeah, it was awful.
Yeah. So happy to be back.
Yeah, cough-free.
Mm-hmm.
So
pretty much, yes.
So, and I'm just back from Michigan, which is what I have a show and tell. Should I start with that?
Yeah, start with that.
So I went to Bay Books, which is in Sutton's Bay. Look at this cute little sticker they put on. It says, Bay Books, be kind. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to the bookseller. I had purchased my book, and then I was talking to her, and she started wrapping it, and I didn't have the heart to say, like, this is for me. But I think they're in a wrapping frame of mind,
right? Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So, and I was talking to her about how they do their events there, because it's a really tiny, beautiful little library right on the main drag in downtown. What did I say? Library. It's around the corner from the public library,
okay.
Which I had just gone to use the bathroom, so maybe that's why it's on my mind. Came back to shop at the bookstore. The library is actually right on Lake Michigan. Beautiful, on a bay right there, nice. Sutton's Bay. Nice. The librarian has the best view in town, and around the corner is this beautiful bookstore. And there is a very well-known author named Viola Shipman, and it's a he. This is his pen name. His name is Wade Rouse. And I actually came to find that he is a very well-known memoirist under his name, Wade Rouse. And actually his most recent book, I wrote it down. Let me cheat and look, is called, let's see, Magic Season, A Son's Story. And it's about him spending time with his father on his deathbed and them sharing their love of baseball. And it's a Michigan 2023 Book of the Year.
Oh, cool.
But I wanted to get a Viola Shipman book because when I was visiting my daughter in Michigan last year, I saw that this author was just really prolific. Mm-hmm. Didn't know anything about the author. Came to learn it was a man writing under this pen name, which is in honor of his grandmother, Viola Shipman. And this is a classic Emily book where it's a story that includes recipes, and it's about a chef that's had some time in Michigan. I'm sorry, she's from Michigan, went to New York City as a sous chef, worked for someone famous, and it didn't go well. And she's kind of come back to Michigan, to the family apple orchard with her tail between her legs, and finds an old family recipe box that inspires her to get back into cooking, I think.
That's a great cover. I really like
isn't
that.
Isn't it beautiful?
Love it.
I have or had an old wooden recipe box that my mother-in-law gave me that I gave to my daughter with recipes in it. Nice. So now I have like a little plastic one that I need to replace. But anyway, the recipe box by Viola Shipman.
Very cool. Well, I'm reading a book by a YouTube, he's a YouTuber, coach, all that kind of stuff, Thiago Forte. Is it Forte? This is really bad. I watch his videos. I don't think it's just Forte, but Thiago is his first name. This is the para method. And I have been using this method of his because he talks about it on his videos. But it's a way to organize your digital life, your digital files. And the para stands for projects, areas, resources, and archives. So, and I really needed some organizational help because I struggle with that in life in general, with physical books and physical articles. And then on top of that, all the digital stuff. It's just like,
Yeah.
And as he says in this book, most people, who've gone to school tend to organize files in big sections like marketing, HR, but within those big subject areas, you have projects usually going. And so a lot of people are just spinning their wheels, or they chronically feel overwhelmed and overworked because they're not thinking about their work or, it's projects, that you can accomplish. That's the thing about a project. It has an end date. I mean, it could be tomorrow, or it could be 5 years from now or whatever, but it has an end date. Like it's something you're working towards. So that was a real game changer for me, to organize my files in that way. So like I use an app called EndNote for a lot of my notes. So I'll have the current projects I'm working on in a folder for each one. So I can toss stuff into it as I come upon the information. And then areas are things like, your home, your kids, say, your car, hobbies, anything like that is kind of ongoing in your life that you're in control of or want to take care of, that kind of thing. But they're not necessarily deadline-based projects they don't have an end date because you plan on doing it for the rest of your life or for a very long time to come, So like he has an educational folder for his son, examples like that. And then resources or references is what some people call them. That is just stuff you might access pretty regularly, but it's not part of an active project necessarily. And then the last thing is archives. So whenever you finish a project, or if there's an area, say you hit a hobby that you're no longer interested in, you just throw it in the archives folder. Because as he said, he's like, in the digital world these days, like space is usually not a problem. So you really don't ever have to throw anything out. Because sometimes, like say with a hobby, hobbies can kind of fluctuate. And instead of throwing everything away or deleting it in a digital case, you can just archive it and then it'll be there if you ever want to revive that. Or somebody asks you some random question about a ship you built, you can say, oh, let me look in my archives, kind of thing. So he also has a second book called this is his first book, I think, Building a Second Brain, and a proven method to organize your digital life and unlock your creative potential. So this is another one I'll be reading soon. I tend to start with like these self-helpy productivity books like in the new year. I like to kick off the new year with one. But I had this realization last night. I'm like, why am I panicking about end of the year reading? Like I feel like
still 2 weeks, or you mean you just shouldn't?
That it's coming to the end, and there are these books I had wanted to read this year. Oh, I see. But I'm maybe not in the mood for it right now. Like Blackouts is one I really want to read. I'm just not in the mood to pick up something that is that heavy right now. And I was just like, what the heck? Like, read whatever you want. Like, I'm doing this to myself,
But we always do that. Every year we're very careful about what we read the last day of the year and the first day of the year, which are side by side. So it's a little bit of pressure, I know I've been doing the same thing, and I need light reading. I picked up something that was so heavy the other day, and I just thought, I can't read about this right now. So that's why I got something that has to do with baking.
Nice. Yeah, exactly.
Because I want to bake and eat. That's what I want to do right now. Yeah, that's so funny. I feel
Yeah. So ending the year with some self-helpy productivity books.
Yeah.
And productivity in the sense, I like this. Not that like you're going to do more.
Yeah.
It's like you are going to accomplish the things you want to accomplish so you can do more of your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that you're not chronically overwhelmed about some work issue that you're not treating as a project that could possibly be treated as a project. I mean, I know there are a lot of things not necessarily within our control in the workplace. So there's that as well. So
I have a show and tell.
All right.
I'm going to make a lot of noise for a second.
Okay.
That's actually beautiful.
That's an appropriate sound for this time of the year.
That's right. Well, because my holiday's over. Sorry, everybody. The last night of Hanukkah was last night. And one of my gifts was this beautiful piece of reclaimed wood that's been artistically changed by my sister-in-law, Jessica, who's a wonderful artist. I'll put the link to her website down below. Her name's Jessica Covan. And she's a painter, and she does collage. And she just started picking up these pieces of reclaimed wood and then painting on them and putting quotes from authors and artists and famous people. And I just love the one that she chose to give me with a quote by Victor Hugo. Yeah. So I wanted to show that to everybody.
Can you read it, Jill?
Oh, sure.
Just so people can hear it if they're listening.
Be like the bird who, pausing in her flight a while on bough to slight, feels them give way beneath her, and yet sings Knowing She Has Wings by Victor Hugo. And I've known my sister-in-law, Jessica, since I was 18 years old because I got married really young. And so she said, I feel like I've been watching you spread your wings, and that's why I wanted to give you this one. So, and I too with her, because when I first met her, she wasn't focusing on her art.
Okay.
And that's something she's started to do in, I want to say maybe the last 10 to 15 years. And she too is just really soaring and has had some of her own shows, and I'm just incredibly proud of her. So I encourage you to go check out her website and to follow her on Instagram as well, which I'll put in the show notes.
Show notes down below.
I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Show notes from the podcast. We'll put them down below.
Yeah, because reminder, podcasting is our main gig. It's so funny, isn't it? How the terminology changes from...
It's a lot for my brain to remember sometimes.
Yeah.
We did just record episode 197.
Yes.
Yesterday, and that'll drop on Tuesday the 19th. And we had a wonderful author spotlight interview with Pip Williams about, mostly focused on her book, The Bookbinder, but also the Dictionary of Lost Words.
Yeah, so The Bookbinder was our last book in our themed year of reading books about books, and I think it was a great one to go out with, I have to say.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we chose it. And we both also read her previous book, The Dictionary of Lost Words. So I too came with some show and tell. This is going to be, okay, spoiler alert, we're also going to be recording episode 198, which is going to feature Russell of Ink and Paper Blog. Here, he's a booktuber. And for the last several years, we've recorded an episode with him featuring each of our top 10 books of the year.
10-ish.
Yeah.
We usually cheat.
Well, certain people usually cheat, myself included. Right?
She was pointing fingers at me. I think you were the big cheater last year. I'm just saying. But
no, you were. You talked about a series. Well, that's not really cheating, I guess.
She put categories, probably because she's reading this Thiago book. She was like categorizing her top 10s and throwing extras in.
Well, you know, it happens. I mean, we laugh because, so technically 3 people, their top 10, it should be 30 books. And the episodes are, I'm going to count up how many books we actually have mentioned on these last couple
That's a good idea.
end of the year ones, because I'm sure it's like 90 books.
Right.
You know, instead of 30.
And then we sneak in like the ones we're looking forward to or the ones we wish we had read. Yeah.
Right. I know.
Yeah. We get a little carried away.
The ones that got away. But for show and tell today, this is related to Pip Williams' book. Well, it's not related. It's related in subject matter anyway. This is the Dictionary of the Book, a glossary for book collectors, booksellers, librarians, and others by Sidney Berger. This
do you want me to hold this one up?
Yeah, so the one that Emily's going to hold up is the first edition, and this is the second edition that just came out this year. And to turn them sideways, you can see like how much more
hard to do looking at the camera.
How much more information he added to this one, because this first book was such a hit. The second edition just came out this year. I love it so much. So it is a dictionary of all things bookish, from printing to different types of book bindings to just terms and organizations. I love it so much. And what I wanted to show you all today is more directly related to the bookbinder, because the 2 main characters in that, Peg and Maud, who are twin sisters who work folding pages in the Oxford University Press. This is like a sheet of paper, and as you can see, I don't know how much you can see, this is an old German script, and so you can see here that there are page numbers, and some texts are upside down and others are right facing as I'm holding this. And so what the folders would do is, you know, they fold the page this way, they fold it this way, and I don't know if I'm folding it exactly correctly, but eventually you'd end up with a book that's this size, and the text would all magically, I think, be, you know, facing the right direction with the correct page numbers on top. So it is, I think, fascinating to look at these things. And this...
I'm going to interrupt you. So if you could go back, then they would have used the bone folder to like crease the edges, right?
So they do the first fold and crease it.
Okay.
And the second fold and crease that. And using a bone folder, that started because they actually use bones, but because they're kind of heavy and they could have a sharp edge for cutting as well, but they don't leave a mark. Like if you've ever done that, if you've ever taken, say, like a pen or a pencil or something else, sometimes it could leave a mark and you're like, oh, great, you know. But bone folders are clean in that way. And this was an example of the watermark.
Oh, cool.
Because I often wondered, like, why, when you see a beautiful watermark on an old book, why are they in funky places? Well, they're in funky places because when you fold it the first time, it's fine. Okay, nice. But then you fold it a second time, and there it is there. And then a third time. So that's why watermarks appear in different places on the page.
Yeah.
You know, it's such a simple thing.
Yeah.
But unless you know about how books were made back in the day, you don't really know.
So we'll also put a link down below about, or that is from the Oxford University Press showing books being made way back. Was it in
1925? I think
it was 1925. There's a really great video, and you can see. And I say when we're talking to Pip, like the first time I watched it, I thought it was like speeded up, but it's actually these people just worked so fast. They were like machines.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
I mean, like. You know, like it's so
super fast, over and over.
But I highly recommend this if you are a book geek or you know a book person who might get into this. It is an expensive book. It's a reference book, and those tend to be pricier. But really, hours and hours of fun in here. Yeah.
Such a beautiful book. I have one other thing to show, which is this cookbook, and it's called Roast Figs, Sugar Snow. Winter Food to Warm the Soul by Diana Henry. And I found out about this book from Catherine May because this is actually going to be her book club book for her monthly book club. And she found out about it because the author actually wrote to her and said, I really want you to read my book. Like, cool. I don't just want you to get it and look at the recipes. I want you to read it. Because like a lot of cookbooks, there's essays in here that talk about why she was writing about the food and the adventures she went on, because she did a lot of traveling, including to New England, because she's actually an English writer. And how she got the idea for the title, Sugar Snow, which I'd never heard of. Had you heard of Sugar Snow?
Not at all.
When she was a kid, I'm just going to read this. She said, her interest in writing cookbooks has been fueled by stories. And Roast Figs and Sugar Snow has been inspired by childhood reading, though a book set in a very different world than the other cookbook she wrote, which was inspired by the Arabian Nights. On dark afternoons, my high school teacher read us the stories of Laura Ingalls Wilder. In the simple, snowy world of the American Midwest, found in Little House in the Big Woods, an orange and a handful of nuts in the toe of a sock on Christmas Day seemed as alluring as the seeds from a crimson pomegranate. And then she says that one of the things they talked about was the story of maple syrup and how you could tap the sap of maple trees when there was a, quote, sugar snow, snowy conditions in which the temperature goes below freezing at night but above freezing during the day. And then they boil the sap down to a sticky amber syrup and pour it onto the snow. And if it becomes like toffee, like a cobweb of toffee, then that was the magical food that they called sugar snow. And they would have these sugar snow parties, which I guess they still have in New England. Yeah. I didn't know. Have you heard of that?
I haven't heard of that. No. Oh my gosh. That's so much fun. And these cookies on the back, you have to show those too. Those look delish.
So she actually traveled up to Vermont and went to a sugar snow party, which I think is really cool. And she writes all about that in that particular chapter in the cookbook. The food just looks really great. The only thing, and this isn't really a complaint, it's just a comment that, You know, I've been seeing Catherine May talk about this book and showing the cover, and the English cover is, I think, much prettier than the American cover.
Yeah, that happens a lot, I think.
Yeah. So when I got this one out of the library, I mean, I love the recipes. It's beautiful. The pictures are really beautiful. This is like a really lovely pumpkin tart you could easily make this time of year with all of the winter squashes that are available. But I was a little disappointed by the cover. It's a beautiful cover, but it's not as beautiful as the English version is an image. It's like, do they think in the States we need it to be like more realistic and have a picture of real food?
I don't know. It's so fascinating, like the psychology behind that, because I often do like the UK covers more. I think it's rare that I like the US cover more.
I know, it's funny. Yeah, because it's a beautiful, like, artistic image of figs on the UK cover.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is what I'm going to be cooking from this weekend, so I thought I'd share it.
It looks yummy.
Yeah.
Easy.
We would like to know what you're reading, what you're cooking, what you're gifting still, if there's any interesting bookish holiday gift that you decided to get. Let us know. We want to know.
Especially those that you get for yourself.
Yes, exactly. Well, the other thing, just a little drop about the podcast. Chris mentioned that the dictionary of the book is going to be one of her top 10s. That top 10 episode will come after the first of the year on January 2nd. Yeah. It'll drop. And then we also do a Google form to query your top 10 books of the year. We like to know what yours are, so look for that after the first of the year. All right. Happy reading.